Lahore, an icy wilderness. A time capsule of what the Earth may have been like in the last ice ages. A fantasy landscape of serrated rock and snaggle-tooth hanging glaciers, where the only oddity is a human being. Our route from Manali takes us across a fog-bound Rohtang into the valley of the Chandra River. This is the wildest and the most forbidding region of Lahore, our gateway to the fabled Chandratal Lake. The road soon degenerates into a mere track in the rubble-strewn wilderness, and with Koksar, the last inhabited village, well behind us, we are truly on our own. At the head of the valley, the Chandra executes a sharp turn past the Barashigri Massif. The Chandra here is a different creature, untamed and wild, swollen with the meltwaters of the gigantic Barashigri Glacier, grey at a time of the year when all other rivers and streams are blue. Keeping company with the torrent is the wind. The region around Batal is sited at the mouth of the gigantic Barashigri Glacier. The glacial winds starting up like clockwork at around midday. For its altitude, a lowly 11,000 feet, Batal is probably the windiest place in the Himalayas. Batal is a dot on the map, and one solitary, seedy dhaba with one unique qualification. It's the only roof within 50 kilometers. And Batal is one place you need the roof. Inside the dhaba are more people than we've seen all day. A gang of road labor having a late lunch. Some gaddis who've come in for supplies. These fellows are from Banjar, deep down in the Kulu Valley. In another few weeks, they and their flocks will do a long slog back home across the 14,000-foot high Hamta Pass. So at $50 a night, we have a place to park ourselves and our sleeping bags, while the wind howls outside and the shadows lengthen over the tortured landscape. The next morning, we divert off the main road, such as it was, along the broad glacial valley of the Chandra River. Initially, the road is not much different, but as we move ahead, it gets progressively narrower. I don't even want to think of a vehicle coming the other way. Luckily, nothing does. A few kilometers further, it's like a comic book track winding up the mountain. But there's nothing funny about the workout our shock absorbers are getting. And so shaken and stirred, we make it to Chandratal, a heavenly turquoise mirage set amidst the trans-Himalayan barrenness. Vipul turns out to be very organized. He's actually carried swimming trunks. And he reaps the reward.
How's it, Vipul? How's it, Vipul? Wow.
Water is very nice though.
Nice, no?
Surrounded by high peaks, the turquoise waters of the Chandratal occupy a glacial depression. An outlet ensures that the waters are not salty or brackish.
This is a lovely spot, you know?
Yeah. The landscape is so exciting.
Yeah.
That's the Mulkila Massif,
Okay.
and here's the Chandrabhaga Massif.
Okay.
The peaks in the Chandrabhaga Massif are so many
Yeah.
that they don't have names.
Yeah.
They're just numbered, CB1, CB2, and so on. And that's the Chandra River, cutting through the two massifs and flowing towards the Bhaga.
Okay.
There's our lovely lake. There's the Kunzum Pass, which leads into the Spiti Valley. Yeah. The landscape is so exciting. I'm waiting to see your panoramic shot.
Well, that'll take a little time, but this is fantabulous, man. Look at the view.
You know, there's a Laholi legend
Yeah.
that Mulkila is home to a demoness.
I think she stays behind that somewhere, you know, behind that glacier.
Ah,
Yeah.
you can see her, can you?
I can't, man. We might have to go there to do that. Like to come?
As the sun moves through the sky, the appearance of the lake also keeps constantly changing. We are reluctant to leave, but the thought of doing the road back to Batal in the dark was enough to spur us on. So it's back down along the Chandra as it cuts its way through an ever-deepening gorge for its meeting with the Bhaga.
Here at Gondla, the gorge closes in.
Okay.
And you see this wall of rock?
Yeah.
Well, it towers over the river at 3,350 meters.
Okay.
Probably one of the few places in the world where you can see a site like this.
That means that we are standing at approximately 11,000 feet, and the top of that gorge is 22,000 feet, friend.
Wow.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Like to come?
As the sun moves through the sky, the appearance of the lake also keeps constantly changing. We are reluctant to leave, but the thought of doing the road back to Batal in the dark was enough to spur us on. So it's back down along the Chandra as it cuts its way through an ever-deepening gorge for its meeting with the Bhaga.
Here at Gondla, the gorge closes in.
Okay.
And you see this wall of rock?
Yeah.
Well, it towers over the river at 3,350 meters.
Okay.
Probably one of the few places in the world where you can see a site like this.
That means that we are standing at approximately 11,000 feet, and the top of that gorge is 22,000 feet, friend.
Wow.
Nice, man.
Yeah. This is Tandi. This is where the Chandra meets the Bhaga to form the Chandra Bhaga.
That's the Bhaga.
Yeah, this one's the Bhaga.
Where is it coming from?
Well, that's really interesting. Both the Chandra and the Bhaga start within a few kilometers of each other on opposite sides of the Baralacha Pass.
Okay.
The Bhaga does a short straight run of about 70 kilometers. But the Chandra has to go a long way round the Chandra Bhaga Massif to finally reach the same point after a journey of about 180 kilometers.
Vipul had along an archival book on Himalayan art dating back to the 50s and was very keen to visit specific locations. The first would be Gimur Gompa in the valley of the Bhaga, 25 odd kilometers from Tandi.
As usual, it's a steep climb up to the monastery.
I guess they made sure that whoever comes up has business here.
True. And whoever they didn't like the look of, all they had to do was roll down a boulder.
But we have business here.
We have business.
This is a very small monastery in comparison to what we saw in Ladakh, you know.
Mm. You know the 1904 Kangra Gazetteer?
Yeah.
It describes it as one of the most ancient temples of Lamaism in the whole Lahore Valley. It dates back to the mid-11th century.
Okay. They don't seem to have done much construction since then, you know.
Yeah. Let's go in. Now this is what I really wanted to look at.
Fascinating, man. Who's she?
The adored object of the shrine, Vajravarahi, or Dorje Phagmo for the Buddhists. According to the Tantric Buddhist text, Sadhanmala, her color is red, like that of a pomegranate flower. In her right hand is the Vajra,
Yeah.
and in her left is the Kapal and the Khatwanga. She has one face, three eyes.
3 eyes?
Yeah, see?
Oh,
In the
yes.
center of the forehead.
Yeah.
She tramples upon the gods Bhairav and Kalratri and wears a garland of heads still wet with the blood which she drinks.
She's
Actually, if you keep repeating it, it has a sort of trance-like quality.
It has.
Hypnotic.
Yes.
The valley of the Chandrabhaga, beyond Tandi, is lower in altitude, more populated, and visibly more prosperous.
Hey, Vipul, what is this?
Oh, these are hops.
Oh, this is what is used to make beer, is it?
Yeah. It's a big cash crop here.
Okay.
And it seems to have changed the economic complexion of this part of Lahore.
Okay.
There's a shrine to Mahisasur Mardini, and for the Buddhists, to Vajravarahi.
Oh, you mean that's Our Lady from the Gemur Gompa?
Exactly. It is probably one of the 3 great Shakti temples built in the late 6th century by the Bhamor rulers. In fact, popular legend in Bhamor ascribes all of them to the near mythical Guga, the Michelangelo of the Himalayas.
Okay.
Mrikula Devi left me stunned. I had never seen anything like this. So much visual brilliance crammed into such a small space. On the one side is the Ramayana with the 10-headed demon king Ravan, easily recognizable. Beyond, his gross brother Kumbkaran reclines deep in slumber as an army of elephants tramples upon him in an effort to awaken him. The power inherent in Hanuman shines through. Captured forever in the 1400-year-old. The other panels depict the wedding of Shiva and Parvati with a restrained though forceful eroticism. On another wall is the Buddhist cosmos, done in a classical Gandhara style. Obviously, there was a lot more coming and going in the 6th century AD than we were aware of. Compared to the craftsmanship of those times, the conservation effort of our times leaves a bitter aftertaste.
Is this potato, Vipul?
Yeah, this is potato. You know, potato was first introduced here in Lahore in the middle of the 19th century by the Moravian missionaries.
Acha.
And the potato grown here turned out to be so good that it is now used as seed all over the country.
Okay.
And another thing, Lahore now has the highest per hectare yield of potato in the entire world.
That's truly amazing.
Beat that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pushed Netherlands to the 2nd place. And that's even more amazing considering how difficult it is to farm here, you know.
Yeah, the weather conditions.
Yeah, it's covered over with snow for 6 months a year,
Yeah.
And the population density is 2 people per kilometer.
That's true.
And the terrain is rocky and difficult. So to push an entire country to the 2nd place is amazing.
On our return, we detour from Tandi for a visit to the cave monastery of Yardong. As usual, it's a steep slog up, though for a change, nice and green. On the way up, we come across a niche in the rock, full of intriguing miniature chortens, which are usually repositories of the relics of dead lamas. The monastery is completely deserted, except for 2 cats. Vipul scouts around and disappears inside. When he doesn't return, I go looking and come upon a strange scene. He's sitting in meditation with a nun. The strange part is, she's meditating with her eyes wide open, but doesn't acknowledge my presence by as much as a flicker.
आप कितने साल से इधर?
हाँ वैसे ये
आप कितने बड़े साल से बैठे इधर?
जो हुई थी
चार साल 40 साल
40 बोलता वो थिले थी मीशी तो थिले थी वो थिले थी
हाँ बहुत साल हो गए
बेटा वो चार नीचे
हाँ उधर बैठे हाँ दिख गया
यहाँ तो बहुत अच्छा है
Lahore, the land that time forgot.
Well, I certainly won't forget it in a hurry.
Neither will I.